that should be us live. That's us. Guys, can you hear us? How does that sound?
Yeah, please let us know because we are experimenting. Hey, we've got loads of activity in the chat already. Hi. Hey, Kenny. Hey, Kat. Hey, Lou.
We've got some people already waiting. This makes me so happy.
It does me too.
Do you like the new setup, guys? See down my top now. That was the plan.
Yes. Anything for them views.
I'm not gonna lie, it's getting to that point. I am near enough signed up to OnlyFans. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Would you be joking though if people started commenting saying, "Oh, what's the link?" Would you suddenly consider it?
I might start to consider
if there was a calling for it.
if it means for the greater good that
Does anybody
people know about a different human design, and of course.
Yeah, I suppose. Does anybody do naked podcasting?
Oh yeah, so they go a bit further than that. There are porn stars that as a couple and they interview other porn stars and then they finish with having.
Oh my god. No, but I just meant just literally like just naked podcasting. Like. Not sexual, just naked.
It's gotta be. Yeah.
If not.
But it can get listed as like educational as well because it doesn't necessarily go into the rude terms if you just keep it naked and you're just talking about I don't know.
Normal things. Wow. What a way to open the show.
You know, to
Shut these down. When I first discovered Patreon though, a lot of people told me that that was for like manga Japanese style girl artists to get money. Is that, do you think that was the kind of original?
Patreon, yeah. So I remember Patreon being how like the Chatterbait people originally got paid.
Oh, okay.
So like online, kind of babe station type chat
Yeah.
porn. But yeah, independent porn stars. It was a great way for them to get paid without being paid through a porn company. Obviously skimming off the top and stuff.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, if you can draw porn, then you can get paid through it through.
Oh, so it was more of an artistic kind of take on it.
Yeah.
That's why I've got the manga and the porn idea all mixed into one in my head.
I mean, yeah, I think manga was the first type of visual porn
Yeah.
that ever got right before there was like pictures of stuff like that. It was, yeah, people were drawing it.
Very cool.
To be fair, I know plenty of kids that draw genitals out of just interest and like turning puberty and being like, I'm just interested.
Yeah.
Drawing, we've all drawn boobs, but that came from somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. Like, why do you do it?
I find it really interesting. I used to do it. I used to draw what I thought
Yeah.
men's parts look like. I should be a psychopath.
I nicked a stool out of woodwork the other day to use because I needed something to lean on to cut on while I was at the bus, and there was like a man's genitals drawn on it by another one of the students that had labelled it as another, like, I think he'd put Ollie's knob or something, but I was absolutely like laughing my head off just because that's just so funny, and it it's such a kid thing to do.
I love kid humour like that. Do you remember you go and sit on a chair and there'd be a Willy Drew like right there in between your legs, and you're like, for God's sake,
I forgot all about that.
I'd be embarrassed, like, don't sit here.
Yeah. Oh, Kat saying she loves the new setup. We thought we'd try something different.
Thank you. Now if we do like stuff on the table or we're showing stuff, we're supposed to have a candle. I realised that.
Oh, I bought candles in my pocket as well. So much for honouring May Day and Beltane. Am I saying that right? Beltane. So it's squeeze the pockets. There should only be candles and a lighter in one of them and nothing in the other. But yeah, it's the high point of spring, for those that don't know, is today. The high point of spring, and summer is on the horizon. And I think the actual word itself, yeah, you got them, yeah. I think the actual word itself means bright fire.
Relight my fire.
So, yeah, so that's why we're gonna light some candles, and bring some bright fire into the studio. You watch us set ourselves on fire live on air as well. Hopefully not.
More of a.
There we go. Let me put them where you can see them, peeps. Well, I don't know whether that's right near Steph's hand.
I'm a non-alcoholic.
There you are. You can see them now. So yeah, happy May Day. Happy Beltane. And
my hair starts going on fire. Let me know.
Yeah, somebody put in the chat.
Be a minute after it's actually.
But may our little honouring of Beltane bring lots more sunshine. It's been so warm, hasn't it, the last 2 days?
It's been lovely. I want it to stay though. When it gets nice, that's when I start like it's terrible. You don't live in the moment. Well, I don't live in the moment. I'm like, oh, it's nice, but tomorrow's probably going to rain again. It's like, why am I even thinking like that? But it's.
You're the one manifesting the rain.
I am. I'm sorry. I'm doing the rain dance. Literally. Do you believe in rain dances and stuff like that from like ancient tribes and stuff?
Yeah, I think the more that I am understanding how connected everything is, the more I believe that they truly believed it. So I feel like they were connected, and if they like kind of asked for something, then it would more likely happen.
I feel like something that's got that much history to it, like tribes were doing it back then. Even if what they were manifesting wasn't quite, I don't know. I think we forget how much like vibration in certain time ago that we don't use now. I watched a video where they played like a certain amount of whatever sounds measured in
Frequency.
yeah. And one was like a small dong, and the ball next to it didn't move. But then playing a bigger one made that go against the thing it was leaning against.
Yeah.
Like it moved it.
Yeah.
It's like, is that how they moved the pyramids?
I was watching a video the other day that was talking about that they're now starting to realise that there's I can't remember what they call it the levitating frequency or something like that, because they've realised they can actually pick things up with a certain frequency. And there's a lot of, I don't know about the pyramids, but there's ancient stories about these giants that came and moved these huge stones through nothing but sound. And you just think these stories didn't just come from nowhere, did they? They were inspired by something.
The story I heard it wasn't giants, it was loads of people singing.
Oh, cool.
It was like,
yeah. There's so much it's like truth threaded through it, isn't there?
Imagine back at them times, we're like literally living on like psychedelics and introducing them to like be God and get answers and stuff. If everyone was on this massive trip, all singing at once,
yeah,
it could move so much.
Well, just think how we felt when we got involved in breath work.
That's what I mean.
And there was a field of people all connecting, and it was like people having these experiences.
Just a group of like, the small group that we made like personable, like it just felt like there was so much energy and movement within a group of like what 9, 10 of us.
Yeah,
I don't think it was even that, and yeah, so cool.
it is. It is. I like being in tune with nature as well, and trying to follow the natural cycles of nature. You can learn a lot from it.
Yeah, I feel like I'm following you this year in the way that you go about it. You let me know what kind of holiday it is, and I'm like, okay, I should be doing that now. It's fun. It's interesting because it's something that I've always been interested in. But then I forget that I'm interested in it.
Yeah.
Full moon's gone past, and I'm like, oh, I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
You're someone that makes like a point of it, and I'm like,
I find it quite magical. I think that's the attraction for me, is that I've always kind of looked for something fun in everything. And you get to a certain age, don't you, where you think you've learned everything, and that there's no magic in the world, and that oh, that doesn't exist, that only exists in films, and blah blah blah. And then you come out the other side of that and start reconnecting and start to realize, oh my god,
there's so many more examples of magic that like you're like, God, it's not magic as I've been taught it, but it's actually more magical than story that I've heard of, like the pictures of from the new telescope, for example, that is out there.
Oh, yeah.
The images look incredible. They're beautiful. Like
Mm.
there's artists that couldn't produce anything visually stunning in some cases, and it's just
Do you find it mind blowing that the universe is there's certain pictures where it looks like neurons within the brain, and then you start to think, is the universe just one big brain and we're just all inside that? Oh, it starts to blow my mind.
it's crazy that like all them pictures that you see of like the gases and everything blowing up with the stars or the it's like they all look like stuff. There's like that looks like a wave, that looks like someone's hand.
Yeah.
It's hard to like not draw your own like biased like that looks like a shape I already know
Yeah,
onto
yeah.
it.
Well, that's what they reckon that we do, isn't it? That we try to, our brain tries to make it familiar to us.
But then surely I would argue that it's designed like that so that you can look at it with a connection,
Yeah.
not just like say there was actually a picture and it showed some dude with three heads like nah.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, oh, I want to see aliens. Then we'd be like, actually, maybe not that. Maybe not that one. Really? But yeah, you see like the prettiness. And you're like, I'm that. That's made out of me.
I'm reading a book at the minute called Living Magically, and it's just got to this part where it's talking about everything solid that you can see is basically just energy, like it's mass, like atoms that are arranged in energetic forms. Like it's just energy cycles, like kind of interlocked over, and you really start to realize that everything material doesn't really mean a lot in terms of everything that means something is the invisible things, the feelings and the energy and you know and all of that, and it just kind of makes you, I don't know, just feel better about stuff. Like none of it really matters. This is just an illusion, as it were.
The oh, what's going on?
Kenny's just said about consciousness connected. Oh, consciousness connects
To everything.
Yeah, and it's we do well. We tried it with Grace, didn't we? The conscious connected breathing, and when you're keeping your breath going in a cycle, you start to have like hallucinations and feel like you're connected to everything and everyone and the universe or the universal energy and stuff like that. I love it.
I don't mean to lower the tone either, because I do actually mean it in the most beautiful way. A really common way that everyone can experience that is masturbation. It's a really strange one, but you don't realize how much of a meditative state that you first have to get yourself into a different mindset and then physiologically into a different state in a way that's just for you. It's quite personal.
Yeah.
It's a very like it's a realist. You become all of you.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
area around you. It's a really I like it.
There is manifesting potential as well, magic with orgasm. So you can actually, if at the height of orgasm, you are at your most powerful when it comes to manifesting.
I was told that that's when you speak to the
Yeah, so that's when,
and you're like this.
yeah, exactly that, and the tricky thing is trying to do that at that point. Yeah. So let us know how you get on with that.
Hands going out, you're like, quick. Yeah, that's interesting. So how are you welcoming in May?
Well, I've just started doing squats today. I am focusing on making my body even healthier.
I love it. Strong, hot body.
Yeah, strong, healthy. I do want to start running again. That's my, if I can go for that first run, I'll be feeling really chuffed. But as one of my things, either last month or the month before, I started making sure that I was either doing 5 pull-ups on my pull-up bar, which has now grown to between 6 and 10 because I was doing the 5 quite consistently. That they got a bit easier. Or
so how many are you got up to?
10 pull-ups now.
It's insane. I was saying before we started this, I tried it to see how many I could do. I was stuck like I could do. I was like, how do you pull yourself up?
Well, if you can get just a bit of a bend in your arm, but going from a straight arm is really hard.
So hard. I had to jump.
Yeah, yeah. So getting that initial, that's going to be super, super hard.
So I was expecting to do about 10, got 3 and then another 4 or something.
Yeah, yeah.
I was expecting to do.
Monkey bars, though, my mum was saying about this the other day, that I think her and her best friend had gone for a walk and they'd spotted some like, haha, let's go for a swing on the monkey bars. This will be hilarious. And then they about dislocated their arms and they were like, how as a kid do you just jump up there and go like nothing?
As an adult, it is and every adult has that like hurt, don't they? That one incident that's last forever.
Yeah.
They always talk about it. It's a my dad's was that one. He took me to South Brixton Skate Park.
Yeah.
There was a monkey bar set at the side, and he was like, "Oh, I forgot these." And he literally just reached up once and pulled down.
Oh no.
And I've never known him not to have that pain again.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, that was it then.
just like, and he'll always say it's the monkey bars. Like,
triggered it.
We stretch, people. This is a PSA. Stretch. The older you get, honestly, if you think you don't need to, just try and touch your toes right now. Yeah, not as easy as it is when you're a kid. Honestly, work your way into it. Warm your muscles, your joints up.
That's something I'm very like impulsive. I'll think to myself, right, I'm gonna go and do squats, and I'll pick up my heavy weight and just start doing the squats, and it's it's really hard because I just think I don't want to spend time warming up. I just want to get stuck in.
It's the ADHD and exercise conundrum. I'm just do it.
Yeah.
Then the next day you wake up, go to get out of bed, and I'm putting weight on my knee.
Yeah, and then you can't do any more exercise. So
exactly, and that just traumatizes you for the next time you start doing exercise.
So I think I'm not sure whether to do add the squats in, or which I will do anyway, but I'm really considering doing a week without chocolate because I'm struggling at the minute to get through a day. So I'm glad we're talking about food, because some of you may know that I gave up alcohol, then I gave up smoking, and coffee. So, and now it feels like a day without a chocolate bar at the end of the day is a day not worth living. So I really want to break that, and it's only crept in the last, I don't know, month or something. It wasn't like an initial thing from when I first gave up smoking, which you'd think that's usually the thing, in it, give up smoking, put on weight, but it's not been. It's just crept in, so I need it to creep itself back out before it becomes a problem.
You're on your Buddhist journey.
Yeah, I feel the same. Yeah.
No, I don't need that. Even in the Buddhist religion, they still have, what is it, 3 or 4 allows. Okay. I'm allowed to have those attachments.
Really?
I think one is like family.
Oh yeah, yeah.
One is like good. You can use like I have a friend that she used to live by it, and she never drank, never smoked, never did any of that. But she had a McDonald's every now and then. She wore makeup, and she had a partner.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, Kat, if you're still watching, mate, shout out, because she's found this Buddhist temple in Leicester, and she really wants us to go and just kind of just go in and have a chat and see what they are doing there. You know, are they doing workshops? Are they praying? I don't know.
Do you know what? Nick's mum knows someone that used to run a load of like meditation workshops, and he used to be like an ex-prison. They used to be
okay,
something like that.
Yeah, like reformed. Well, it's usually the way, isn't it? I was listening to something earlier that usually we're reformed characters. Like this lady I was listening to earlier, she was into drinking and partying and drugs and hitting it hard, and then when she suddenly kind of woke up and started going down this spiritual rabbit hole, and she was like, everything's so sparkly and magic, and I was relating so much, like, what is it about our characters then? Why are we the wild ones that kind of go from this extreme here to this extreme here?
I think the normal mundane is not enough for us.
Yeah.
Brains so much on the, think out of the box.
Yeah.
We never really think in the box.
Yeah. So it's like
trying to fit in the box, we're like uncomfortable, and it's like I just want to, and it's sensory seeking. That's another thing. I just want to experience this. Oh, that's so much fun. Yeah, I feel like
interesting, isn't it?
We're made for more.
Yeah.
We get bored with less.
So what's your intention for May then?
So I've been putting it off all year, but it's around the right weather now.
Skating.
Doing.
Is it wicked? Oh, that's so cool. I was actually thinking about this earlier, like.
Did I show you the skates that I wanted?
No. Can you roller skate at all?
I used to skate when I was a kid.
Okay, so you're not going, because if this was me, for example, I'd be going into it completely. Oh my God, they are so cool.
Let's get there. Show you guys.
See, I'd prefer this, the 4-wheel. I had some of them that you attach to your shoes, which kind of looks a bit like that, doesn't it? It's like boots with.
So people, they're not like uncool apparently. Apparently people are using them all the time.
Look at the gold ones.
They are so cool.
And the blue
And they're
ones.
so cheap
Oh my god.
as well. Oh wait, is that size 8? Is that might be kids actually? Oh no, adults. Tell me we've got size 7. No, not much.
I'm gonna
What happened? They were cheaper. But yeah, something like this is what I'm after.
you need to send me that site because those £40 ones, I'd definitely invest in some £40 ones.
Ain't it? It's gotta be.
Hey, Lou's saying she used to love her skates. There we go then, Lou. Let's all get some skates and get out there skating.
Spicy skates. Skate size.
A different skater.
That makes many mistakes, I'm sure. Stay tuned.
Skate mistake.
But yeah, so I've decided.
You're gonna go for it.
Tomorrow I'll go and get them. I've been like, oh, I can't do it this month. I've got too much planned. I'm like, no, that's the reason to do it this month.
Yeah.
No reason to not.
The thing is, if you keep telling yourself that,
exactly,
it's like Sedge said it to us before, hasn't she? That if you keep kind of, oh, I can't do this because of this, and I can't. You're almost manifesting that is the reason. It's very much like, no, that's not the actual reason.
You know, if you go to Sports Direct,
Kat wants to skate as well.
Cheat ones. Yeah, I know Kat does. Kat needs to join me as well. Everyone, come join me skating.
Let's see these skates on Sports Direct.
They're so much cheaper. So if you definitely feel like you're like, oh, I really can't afford those and they're not in my size, yeah, you can. 32 quid.
Oh. And they're just white. Could just graffiti all over them.
You can modify them however you like.
I've just got this real worry of falling, putting my arm out and breaking my wrist.
They're the ones I want. Literally 30 quid.
What? Yes then.
In green, so.
And in your size.
It's good. Yeah. If anyone goes and buys these, I'll be so mad. That's going over there, so I can.
Do you want the white ones then, not the pink ones?
Yeah, I'm happy with the white ones. I like the white ones.
It looks like they've got the pink ones as well.
Size 7 though. Yeah. Oh my god. These are women's, aren't they? They're not kids.
Yes, roller skates, women's look.
God, okay. It's a sign.
It is that is definitely a sign. Like there's
pink ones. I'm so glad you pointed.
There's no there's literally no excuse now. What's
Okay, this one's different.
I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat. Have either of us checked out Dr. Stephen Greer? I recognise that name. Why do I recognise that name?
Why does that?
Yes, and then we're going to get on to. Oh, I love that you've put ADHD and food, actually. Yeah, because I was saying earlier, wasn't I, that these food things, for me, are far more common with autism.
This is your.
Yes, it certainly is. Ufologist, I'm down. Yeah. Oh. Oops. Yeah, I do recognise him. I'm rubbish with names, but visually.
So we're talking about what's your recommendations? You both like this guy. What does he do on UFOs?
Yeah, let me see the images. Let me just actually see his face. Oh yeah. He just because I watch loads and loads of different documentaries, and he's always like appears and does the chatting.
What have I seen? Right, that'll be it.
Yeah.
Anyone of that, just assume. I don't know why I didn't just think that word.
So
he's worth giving a try.
Yeah, he definitely is. Very knowledgeable guy.
Awesome. Yeah, ADHD and food.
I feel like, yet again, we're probably going to be quite opposite with this. Oh, in what way? Like, were you more the what? No, just like, were you more when you're growing up being called a picky eater and stuff like that, and more particular about what you're eating? Whereas I was more of a sensory seeker with my food and like,
It depends what the food. The wrong foods I was happy to eat a ton of.
yeah.
I don't. It's hard for me to think of like food eating. All I remember is that I was brought up in a way that it was like you eat what we eat
Yeah.
as adults. There's no like kid play
Yeah,
or
no,
like
I was the
cooking
same, yeah.
a separate meal.
And you had to finish what you ate or
You didn't get pudding.
yeah.
Getting pudding.
Yeah. There was and this is the thing, when I don't remember food being an issue when I was a kid, but when I hit my teens, that's when my sensory issues really started kicking in.
Okay.
So mashed potato, for example, I suddenly the feel of it on my throat used to make me physically gag. So,
I feel so sorry.
but I wasn't like the understanding wasn't there from my dad in particular for me to say I can't eat this. Like, and I remember like suppressing it, you know, at the dinner table and like having to force it down. And I mean, that could have really caused. That's where Arfid and all sorts of like like food related like disorders can come from. But for some reason it didn't, and I'm all right with food still. But mashed potato and yogurts, I suddenly developed this issue with, and now looking back, it was the worry of there being lumps in there that shouldn't have been there and things like that.
So did you at one point have a yogurt or a mashed potato that did have them things in?
Well, yogurts, I just didn't even risk it because you know when they looked smooth, but then you'd be eating it, and then I'd suddenly feel something that shouldn't have been there. That'd be me done. Then I'd be like yakking up. And the same with mash. Luckily, my mum used to keep my potatoes whole for me. So rather than even when they were meant to be mashed because of the time of year, she'd take like, because she'd chop them all up to boil them and then mash them down. But she'd take 6 or 7 out, put them on a plate.
Just for Richard.
Yeah, and and I couldn't have my gravy touching my dinner. I'd eat all of my dinner first, then I'd cut up the bits I didn't mind go, and I'd put it in the pot with the gravy, and then eat it out of that pot rather. And looking back now, this every single sign was there that I was neurodivergent. You know.
That whole food not touching.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Whereas when I eat food, especially a big meal, a really good thing for me is to get every bit of flavour at once.
okay, yeah,
So mix it together.
yeah.
I serve a meal with mash and everything gets mixed in with the
In
mash.
with the mash anyway, yeah. Yeah, it's strange though, isn't it? Because like I say, these were just habits that came on in my teens, lasted a few years, and then I grew out of them. I hate that kind of, oh, you'll grow out of it. But my sensory issues calmed down. You know, it was almost like a hormonal thing.
Definitely. I feel like I struggle to understand the pinpoint necessarily of mine, but I do remember at the same time that it's hard to because I'd started taking medication for poor mental health, but at the same time I was doing silly things with drugs, and my appetite was just non-existent for
Yeah,
a while. The idea of just trying to put something in my mouth, I'd be chewing it and chewing it,
yeah,
and like you said, that feeling of I'm just gonna gag, I'm
yeah,
not able to
yeah,
swallow any of this, and it got to the point where most food was doing that
yeah.
all through the morning. I couldn't eat. I just felt really sick. And again, silly lifestyle. Starting, undiagnosed mental health. It just was a poor. And smoking weed helped. But then when you didn't have the weed, then
Couldn't eat.
you weren't
Yeah,
hungry.
yeah,
And you can't go to a family dinner stoned and be like, at least I can eat now. It's not worth it. So the amount of times I'd sit there and be like, I'm just not that hungry. I'm just not that hungry.
yeah.
And
Did you?
look at it, perhaps I was hungry and it looks nice, but the idea of putting it in my mouth would
Yeah.
change the mood instantly.
Sometimes what I was going to ask then is, did you then get anxiety about worrying about, oh my God, everyone's going to think I'm not eating, and then does that add to it?
Yeah, because people would point out, oh, you've not finished and if you'd known me before that, your girl puts it away. If you know me after that, your girl puts it away. If sprinting was an Olympic sport, I'd be there winning gold every time. So yeah, I love food now. So it was a real like people. It'd be honest to my parents.
Yeah. I mean, I know from talking to friends that, because there's this whole picky eater thing, isn't there? And I hate that term because
Yeah.
you know, you like what you like, you don't like what you don't like. And I don't like it when people are labeled as being picky when actually they've got sensory issues. You know, they're not being picky, they just know what textures they can deal with and what they ones they can't or whatever. And then I know that they're anxious knowing people are going to start pointing it out, like, oh, look at you picking around your food, or oh, don't give it them, they're not going to eat it anyway, they're a picky eater. And
Feel like
you
they
know,
need to address it first, like, sorry, I'm a bit of a picky eater.
yeah,
Pizza. Oh, sorry, can I just get margarita? Or can I
yeah,
just get a, yeah, sorry, I'm a bit picky. Well, you don't have to apologise.
no,
Just collars on their pizza shouldn't have to apologise.
yeah.
I mean, they should because that's but everyone should be allowed to have that. You know, you get pizzas where you can have half and half now. There should be no.
I think as well, yeah, no, and I think as well, it's again comes down to that. If someone was like wolfing their food down and was a bit overweight, you're much less likely to point that out than somebody that's underweight and picking. You're like, oh, no wonder you're so skinny, you're a picky eater. But you would never say, oh, no wonder you're so fat, you're putting that away. And it's just this kind of like, it's okay to comment. No, it's not. Just keep, what's it matter to you how they're eating their food? You just concentrate on your food and eating yours, you know?
100%. And that's why the title is Picky Eater or Arfid. I'm here to tell you it could be neither.
Yeah.
Literally. And the fact that could be that the idea of it being a picky eater is 0%. There is no such thing. Do not subscribe to that. It's not a thing. You like things, you don't like things. And
Own it.
saying people with sensory issues are just, oh, well, they just like some food and they just don't. You need to like get over it at some point. It's a different.
Yeah, you cannot just get over it. You know, it was me with the mash, it was horrible.
Definitely.
What's Lou saying up there?
I always had people commenting on my weight, food intake. That's so like, how does it make you feel? Like, would people do that in front of other people? Because that's another like.
I've heard people say it too, Lou, so I can vouch for her that people have made comments in front of other people, yeah, and I think it's downright rude.
Yeah, I'd feel.
Yeah, look, it makes you feel more insecure about these things, like you say. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if people hear themselves in the judgmental way that it comes out.
I wonder as well if there's an element of, oh, I wish I, like, people perhaps wish they didn't eat so much. So when they watch somebody perhaps not eating so much, they feel they've got a right to point that out because they wish that they, and it, because it, only because it always comes from an internal point of view, doesn't it?
Do you remember I was saying endometriosis? It was just like, oh,
Oh, yeah.
and I was like, oh, that's good though. Like, I haven't really been trying. She was like, oh no. She's like, next time you come, you're even skinnier. She's like, oh, you make me want to go on a diet. I'm like, will you stop?
Yeah, like, it got embarrassing.
Don't feel that skinny. Like, you're being like you're skinny. And it's just like, I don't need that kind of like busy today with my brain.
I think there's definitely too much emphasis on the body as an attraction thing. It's like, you know, my body should be able to support me and I should be able to do what I want to do physically and have enough energy and all the rest of it. And that's how we should be viewing food. Like, is the food I'm taking in fueling my body in a way that's good for me?
Are eating well and you do start exercising. It takes 2 days to be like,
Yeah.
hey, be different.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just feel the good choices you're making.
So, for those that don't know what ARFID is, it stands for Avoidant Restrictive Food Intake Disorder. And it's quite would you say it's quite new? I would say it's definitely newly recognized in terms of people before would have just said you're a picky eater and now they're realizing that there's a reason for it.
I think actually understood the sensory issues, but this idea of it being completely avoided and seen specifically on its own as an eating disorder.
And an eating disorder that's not related to body image.
You look at the DSM, there are certain, if you actually, the criteria for both bulimia and anorexia is crazy, by the way. It is just how fit, how weight, how little you weigh.
Rather than what's going on in here.
This is a standalone on its own, the only one that isn't appearance body related, which is I think hard for a lot of neurotypicals to get their mind.
Yeah.
It's just oh, we'll just get on with it.
Sorry, go on. It can come from a childhood experience with food though, can't it? Such as choking or being given a food that was like, has got a traumatic event around it. It can then trigger this needing safe foods, not trusting food. That's basically what it is. Not or even if you've had a really bad reaction where you've ended up with awful stomach ache as a kid, it can then cause this Arfid to develop.
I used to love onion rings and
Crisps or the actual yeah.
Deep fried onion rings. I went on holiday with my mum. My mum told me they were onion rings.
Oh, calamari.
Yeah. I bit into it.
Oof.
The gooey softness just flipped out. I wasn't eating for it, and it slapped on my chin, and then it wouldn't bite. I couldn't like.
Yeah, it's all rubbery. Yeah.
I was one like, we'll never trust my mum again. B, we'll never trust onion rings again. What if they're not onion rings? And it's only taken me the last 5 years to be able to be like, I do like onion.
The trust, yeah. The trust element though is really, really important with this. If your child or anyone is suffering with ARFID or food related issues, the worst thing you can do is start to hide foods in their safe foods. So like the concern is, oh, my kid will only eat tomato sauce and cheese sandwiches. But I'm worried they're not getting enough vitamins or whatever. If you even add vitamin powder to that tomato sauce, an ARFID kid or an adult will be able to tell that the texture's different, the taste is slightly different. They're very sensitive, and once you've messed with that, they then won't trust that food either. Or you. Yeah, or you. So it's so, so important to not mess with it. And I think it was my brother's fiance said to me the other day that the way to do it with ARFID is to provide the safe food still, and then provide new foods that are not touching it or anything like that, and they're completely standalone in a little like different textures, different foods that they can have a go at if they want to, and it's very much choice based and isn't messing with the safe food, and try to introduce other foods like that.
As well, if you can make them in like a fun way, like I don't know, a carrot stick that's got it looks
or build your own
or something.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, something that's like Mrs. Hinch actually does some really great ones for her neurodivergent kid.
Yeah.
Just to try and get him more like just excited for different foods and open to trying them. And yeah, if you've got a young enough kid that you can try these creative, visually stimulating.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I want that teddy bear face. That's that's yummy to me. That's the association. It's a great tool. What's Kenny saying?
It's talking about diabetes, which can be a side effect of a poor diet. And this is the thing, I think we learn these things too late, don't we? Especially if we are, because you were saying, weren't you, that you couldn't get enough of the things that were bad for you. And I definitely find that with a lot of my students, my young people that I work with, they've got these things where they miss dinner time, they don't feel hungry, they don't find foods appealing, but they can sit and just eat and eat the wrong thing till it comes out of their ears.
Because you almost leave yourself with choice at the end of the day when you've sat there and you've already bought them snacks and you didn't buy the healthy food.
There's a few elements to it. I think there's the fact that chemically it releases these feel good hormones, so you might not even realize why you're craving those things. Yeah. Yeah, there's that, but there's also something really interesting that I read about, which was fruit, for example, looks different every single time. It can be bruised, it can be slightly different colors, it can taste different as well. Whereas a bag of Doritos is consistent. So
free cheese, it tastes the same.
Yeah. So processed foods is way more safe for kids with ARFID because they are more reliably going to be the same.
Strange that we're called like neurospicy because we really don't like any of that in the food. The safe foods are generally white foods, right? Chicken, chips, pizza, stuff that's very.
Well, what I find is that you're either, so me and my brother were brought up in exactly the same way. We were definitely encouraged to try new things and almost shamed if we didn't. This is from, from my dad's side. It would be very much like, yeah, and my brother was very much the safe foods, chicken nuggets and chips till he was 15 years old. That's all he ate. But I was more of a sensory seeker. I liked spicy foods. I like strong tasting foods, you know, and I'm still like that now. I like olives and cheeses and things that taste really strong. And I've found that even some of the kids I know that are Arfid kids, um, they actually, although they stick to certain safe foods, some of their safe foods are olives and Stilton cheese because they're strong tasting and it's exciting. It's like stimulating.
It's, we were saying before that you've got the avoidance, but then you've also got the sensory seeking. And I definitely get that. One of my favourite things to do if I've got a night on my own is just to get a load of food and just unashamedly no one
Definitely.
watch me while I just scoff it all.
Yeah, I love doing that. I love me and Lou will go to the back shop sometimes and like we'll just spend like a five each or whatever on crap like crisps, sweets, whatever, pop,
One
like
everything.
yeah. And quite often I won't even eat it all. But this is what Ken is kind of saying in the chat that this is where we end up with diabetes if we're not careful. And it is a double-edged sword, isn't it? You kind of want to indulge yourself, but actually the damage that you can be causing, and then that adds to the guilt, and then they want to comfort eat even more.
It's a vicious cycle, guys. It's like you can't do I do to myself with food, and it's very similar. It's
Yeah.
very similar. The gaslighting, the.
I think the trouble is that with convenience food and sugary foods are so readily available and they're so much cheaper and they're so convenient. Like if there was a drive-through I know jacket potatoes aren't exactly healthy, but if there was a drive-through where they served healthier food, 9 times out of 10, I am craving something healthy. It's just that it's not convenient to go and get that from anywhere.
Yeah, that is, every so often there's that good jacket potato stall that's in Love.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that. Yeah.
Dripping bag of beans.
Let's see what else you put on this visual then. Are we going through it or?
Let's go through it. It's just a few of the effects that you can get. So forgetfulness. Most of these we've actually literally just covered.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. We can skim through, can't we?
How much do you forget to eat?
Yeah, all the time, especially when I'm hyper focusing on things. But the thing is now that since giving up so many other things, food has become one of my hyper focus points for the day. Like I used to love cooking and now I'm back on that vibe. Like I love getting creative with my foods and it's very much one of the things that I look forward to about the day is what smoothie am I going to put together? What salad? I've gone mad on salads at the minute.
We need to go to Harvester. Look,
Yeah.
Harvester.
I've got vouchers for Harvester as well because I'm a shareholder. So yeah, if we set up a tab, then we get 20% off the whole tab. Yeah, so we'll go. We'll do it. But yeah, forgetting sometimes, if I was creating content, writing my story, whatever I was doing, I'd realise, oh my God, I've not ate all day.
I've not eaten. I mean, sometimes I look up and I'm like, oh, it's dark.
Yeah. How did that happen?
So of course I've not thought to drink or eat in the last several hours. It's gotten pitch black. And yeah, it's not just the forgetting to eat, it's the forgetting to get the shopping. Did I get the drink as well as the shopping?
Yeah.
Did I get heartburn tablets? Because I don't know if you're like me, but I get like stroke problems as well. That just like, it's alright, I got the food. Did you get the?
It's really common, really common with ADHD and autism to have IBS, to struggle to actually take the nutrients from the food, so you end up with deficiencies. It's like yeah, really common. Just talking about forgetfulness. Anybody that is watching right now, hit that like button for us. Let's get those likes up. Let's get us going on the algorithm. Sorry, that's random, but it's the forgetfulness thing just reminded me. That irregular eating patterns thing as well, though. It's eating late at night, then, isn't it? Because you don't remember to eat all day, and then suddenly you're starving at 10 o'clock at night. Yeah, and then you're like, going to bed on a full tummy, which apparently is bad for us. And
now this is probably one of my worst things. Choosing food based purely on dopamine. Like I said, we're like, oh yeah, that would be good, and that would be good, and then you're like, oh well, I've kind of not spent much in the last few days. I am going to get that extra like thing of muffins, and it's like, why are you making them silly deals with yourself based on pure dopamine? This is healthy. You went straight past the salad, or if you did, you got a load of Caesar sauce to drown it in.
And the interesting thing is, I've been making these salads and things that are so tasty. It's actually so much nicer than anything that I could buy.
Every time I cook, I think that.
Yeah, and yet something will still be like, oh, order a Chinese, and then it's not even that nice. But then if I'm
It's 30 quid.
yeah, it's like why? But like you say, you've got to rewire those thought patterns of this is what. And then the other thing as well is thinking, oh, I'll treat myself to a Chinese. There's nothing about it that's treating your health, your body, your mind, your bank balance. You know, I love at the minute making my own house special rice. So you like chop up your peppers, your onions, your garlic, an egg, and then put your rice in the pan, and then literally make some gravy and put that on it. Well, nice. Nice and fresh as well. Or it tastes fresh.
Yeah, every time he turns up at my door, and then I'm like looking at him like, oh, I want 3 quid as well on top of all this. I feel obliged to send
And
him.
that's the actual guy, isn't it, that comes to your door?
Although he doesn't come to my door because they're lazy and they're like, I can't find it. Like houses that
They're on
don't
the
face
street.
front, they're definitely there.
We need another O in that. It says chosen at the minute.
Chosen.
You see, we do choose food based purely on David, of course. Oh well, it's fine. I
Instagram.
and point out the mistake. What did I put the other day though? Instead of put plus, I put puss. And my mum was like, Linz, it says puss, whatever. And I'm like, I read that post so many goddamn times. And then our friend, the neurodivergent rebel or somebody, I can't remember what his account is now, but he shared it as well. So then I was like, no, everybody stop sharing it. It's got a mistake.
That's you come here for though, right?
Yeah, exactly. We're authentic like that.
Kenny says sugary foods and high in carbohydrates, highly addictive, and the food industry know it.
Yes.
But they also the carbohydrates, especially
Sugar.
it's serotonin.
Oh, okay, makes you. Yeah, and
Treated correctly. Says, how do you expect me to not eat a whole loaf of bread?
they actually the food industry do play on that. They add sugar, sugary syrups. I think what I read somewhere once was during the war, they had to because obviously everything went ration because we couldn't get hold of certain foods, and they had to experiment in the lab with how to create foods. And they realized they could make this sugar syrup that was super sweet, and then when maybe, yeah, but then they'd add it to foods and make it taste amazing, and that was the kind of unraveling then, you know. And you've only got to look at obesity rates from that point onwards to know that, you know, the food, it's not. Again, it comes down to victim blaming. Oh, you're obese because you eat too much, but actually, you're surrounded by addictive foods that are easy to come by, and you know, it's
geared me up to have this lifestyle of eating. Sorry, I didn't quite manage that. It's so easy to do.
Yeah, so easy.
Little nod to Joe Wicks.
False and misleading dietary advice.
Because I don't think he understands quite how that, you know, him alone, he's not the only person. Yeah. Not coming for him. Any of these, I see so many of them where someone's in like a doctor's outfit and they'll lean behind them and say something ridiculous like, flushing the toilet with the lid open gives you acne. And it's like that's if you know anything about acne and how it forms, it's got nothing to do with the outside of your skin. It's all and it's just where is your credentials? And this is happening everywhere
with everything.
The virgin person that finds comfort online with this community of people sharing information. You can't differentiate. Like, oh, that's a lie. Well, she's wearing a doctor's outfit, so.
And that's the trouble with that. If you have got safe foods and there's certain things that you're just eating quite consistently, and then people are saying, but that's bad for you, and then you've got the panic, and I don't know, it's just
chicken potatoes. Did you know it's full? It's just carbs, and then you put butter on it, and then you put chicken foods. It's like, well, it's not the chocolate that they were going to eat before, or the sweets, or
the thing with the carbs is the fact that a lot of it's sugars because you don't actually need that much energy. But then it's like, well, maybe the key is to try and counteract it a bit more movement, you know. And unfortunately, the curriculum, going back to education, my passion topic, is removing opportunities for PE and movement and dance. And you know, if the teacher has to catch up on something, that's the first thing that they take out is the PE, and it's so frustrating because you're actually then creating this feeling that these things aren't important, but they are. They're so important for life.
Definitely.
More important than what you're learning in maths and English is the movement. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it used to me at school when certain kids were like, "Oh, I just want to kind of chill in the classroom at lunch." No teacher would be like, "Go outside,
Yeah.
stretch your legs, go and walk, like do something. Just don't sit in here."
You actually do feel better. Like the other day, one of my students said to me, "Oh, can we go for a walk?" I knew she was just trying to get out of a lesson, but it was the first sunny day we'd had. It was yesterday or the day before, and I was like, "Yeah, come on, actually, let's go for a walk." And I was so glad we did. Felt so much better. I was like, "Wow, this is amazing. I feel great."
Needed it was a bit of through walking.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, Arfid, we covered it very briefly, but it is sensitivities to food. But it should be understood that this, as an eating disorder, shouldn't just be given to any child that has food sensitivity processing issues. Sometimes it is just that, picky eater. Sometimes people just don't like certain things.
Yeah.
So what is the difference? It's when your food avoidancy is limited to you eating maybe 3 different things throughout your entire.
And it's affecting your health.
It's affecting your health. It's affecting your mental health properly. It is.
Yeah. It's life having an impact on your quality of life.
And that's when you start looking at supplements and vitamins. When I was saying about the thing with Joe Wicks, like, be careful with these vitamins and supplements for children. But when it comes to this, 100%, these kids are going to be deficient in a lot of these areas. So getting them that iron, zinc, all that stuff.
Thing is, again, it's that autonomy that we need to listen to our kids a little bit more. If they're saying, I don't like that food, instead of being like how our generation was of, well, you'll sit there until you've ate it. It's not really the right way to go, is it? Because what you should be teaching a child is that they are able to make a decision about what they like and what they don't like.
That autonomy, and especially if they've got that PDA profile, you're screwed trying to tell them stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think a really good thing to remember is that our taste buds develop throughout our whole life. And understanding yourself as I don't like that food is a little bit restrictive. So when your child says, I don't like this food, okay, you don't like it right now. We'll try it again.
Yeah.
In a few
I
years.
didn't like olives when I was younger, and now I'm obsessed with them, so.
Yeah. And if you aren't exhibiting this behavior yourself as an adult, if you're going places and you're like, ooh, oh, they don't have the fish that I like, or they don't have this that I like, demonstrate.
Yeah.
Don't be worried, don't be confused as to why your kid's like, I don't eat it.
Yeah.
Because you do the same thing when you go out and you're like, they don't have the salad I like.
This being hungry is such an ADHD thing I've noticed. And even for me, I noticed I'm so ratty and then I realise you're just hungry. I eat and I feel so much better.
Actually, I'm very hyperactive. I actually do better with a bit of a higher intake every so often.
Yeah.
Just to keep that. It might not be a good solution all the way round, but generally giving you that advice, carbs are bad. It doesn't.
It's limiting.
Everything in
moderation. I actually think that, again, coming back to education and schools, the way that they're set up, where it's like some schools don't allow break time snacks, and every school doesn't allow eating in doesn't allow eating in lesson time and things like that. But actually, when kids are, in particular, ADHD and autistic kids and neurodivergent kids, it's so important to be giving them that opportunity to have little snacks regular and often to keep them focused and to give them good habits for when they're older and all of that. And I just find it so heartbreaking that kids aren't able to have these snacks as and when they need them. If you're an adult and you just have a snack at your desk while you're working, if you feel hungry, why, I don't know.
Come out of school and they put their hand up to ask questions.
Yeah. Can I go to the toilet? Yeah. Yeah.
This whole you get. It's a really strange.
It's just taking away individuality, is how I feel about it.
Yeah, and not anyone's as well. I don't think neurotypical kids benefit from having their snack time restricted.
Yeah.
I just don't understand it. And a lot of these kids, whether you're neurodivergent or not, will come from homes that they don't have these opportunities.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking as well. Yeah, you're so right there.
It's the least you can do. Trying to help them learn anything. So Planning and preparation. This is me. If you know about the way I cook, sometimes it gets better, but I have to recognize when my brain is working a certain way, I am linked to the kettle, the toaster, and the microwave. Because anything that doesn't turn off by itself, I could easily leave.
Yeah.
My whole house would go up.
Yeah. Well,
It really has.
Yeah, I'm gonna say you demonstrated that on that video that time when you're doing that card trick, and then you just walked off. Something inside you just switched off, and that was the
Something else.
Yeah.
I look for the tea towel. I'm like, where's the tea towel? I'll go in the living room and it's on the coffee table with the towel, with the bowl still in it that I was drying, that I must have just put down.
Yeah, to do something else. I find getting everything finished at the same time. Say if I'm cooking 3 or 4 things and getting it, yeah, that's really hard work. Like the planning of it. But again, I'll get a piece of paper if I'm doing a Sunday roast and I'll work backwards. Yeah, everything's on there, what time it went on and what, so that I can work out that it's all going to be done at the same time. Yeah, nightmare. Yeah.
Is that like weeks of planning before?
Yeah, I enjoy it. I mean, my dad was always into cooking and I am too. And I think again, we spoke to Mr. Vegan Cakes, didn't we, about the fact that ADHDers can actually find cooking really creative and really enjoy it and absolutely thrive from it. But it's certainly not everybody's forte.
Actually, yeah. My most recent baking attempt. Maybe if I tell the story, Mr. Vegan Cakes will send me free cake. It was for Kat's birthday, shout out.
Oh.
I made her, and I've made this so many times.
Yeah.
I get the recipe because I make it off by heart every time. It's an Oreo bottom with cream cheese, cream.
Ooh, like a cheesecake type thing.
And white chocolate.
Oh my God, that sounds bang. It's my birthday in 2 weeks, just so you know.
I'm baking again. I put it in, and then I ended up not being able to come anyway because of car trouble. So I was like, at least it's got like it'll be full more than 24 hours to set by that.
Yeah.
So got home, was like, Cat, I'm on my way. As I went to look in the fridge, I'm like, soup.
It was all wet still, yeah. And set.
Just like sank. It was just at the tops of them, and I was like, oh no.
What happened then? Did you miss an ingredient out?
I literally went, what did you forget?
Yeah. So you got everything in there. You need to whip that Oreo bottom a little bit more. Yeah. But the thing is, for us ADHDers that are already used to failing, rejection sensitive, something like that goes wrong, and that's it. Then you're furious. It's like I'm this, I'm that, I'm rubbish, I'm a loser, I'm a failure, I'm never going to cook again. And it's, I know it sounds extreme, but it's true.
The amount of gratitude I have, people that have picked me up when I've been like, I've dropped the food or it's not worked or it's gone in the sink while I'm draining it, that just come pick me up and say, don't worry, I've got you. But that solution is then, let's go and get a Mackey's, let's go and get a KFC.
Yeah, exactly.
The same.
Yes, the starting point, and then to the point where you think I'm not going to bother trying. I'll just go straight for the Mackey's.
Can you just make me more food? Scratch. A lot more common with autism and OCD. Routines and rituals is another thing. People are very ritualistic.
Can even be. I mean, this just saying the autism things just reminded me that again with the sensory thing, people don't want to eat in cafeterias because it's loud, it's noisy, it's smelly.
The cutlery.
Yeah, or squeaking cutlery on plates or cutlery on people's teeth. You know, if they
didn't clean it properly, it's got bits of food.
Oh yeah, and there's so many things that can impact on eating that again you might not feel confident enough to share, or even a couple of my students suffer with this, that if someone else touches their food or their drink, they can't then carry on eating it, and it's nothing to do with them being dirty or anything. It's just their own thing. So then it's a case of like, oh, like before now, one of my students picked up another kid's drink and drank some and was like, hey, like, and then you could see his face. He ain't going to be able to, he cannot drink out of that bottle now.
What is wrong with you? Like,
yeah, snog. Like,
the amount of food and drink.
Yeah, it's strange, but it's really, really common. And it's like, if we don't normalize this, people are so ashamed of it.
Pointing it out as dramatic or attention.
Yeah, it is what it is. Like,
I worked at a festival and it's crazy. It turned 12 o'clock and it's like, we're not at school, we're not at work, there's no timetable. Fans are on all day. everyone from 12 till 2, everyone got lunch. You saw people go warm to the.
Oh, it's lunchtime, yeah, like, eat what you want when you want, mate.
Neurodivergent, everyone.
Yeah.
Lunchtime.
Lunch.
Digestive issues, we've already mentioned this. Constipation, that's a real big one for me. If I go abroad, I feel like I'm not used to my normal diet.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
And yeah, bloatedness, like having, you know, your tummy swell up after having foods that don't agree with you, and
Dio sushi, that's what I had.
yeah, and there we go as well. That's like the thing that I've just spoken about, and then difficulties with social communication. Yeah,
It's literally, if I can't communicate that this isn't the right environment, then of course I'm going to have a meltdown. Of course I'm going to seem rude, like I'm going in front of, someone's just made you some food,
yeah,
and they go, smells. Like,
yeah.
it can be easy to get offended. I'm sure it is, especially if you've just made that. But to really, really make the effort to not take this personal if you are around anyone, child or adult, that suffers with eating challenges.
I was saying as well. Look, she always gets a bloated tummy after certain foods.
Friday, me and Lou were like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
after
sick, weren't you?"
I,
You couldn't.
yeah, I was all right. No, I did, for one point I did feel like I'd overeaten, but then I was all right. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
To be honest, I wasn't drinking. Oh no, you weren't drinking alcohol either. I was just thinking maybe the alcohol mixing with it might have like, yeah, was so funny, wasn't it? Can you imagine if I was one of these that because you had touched it, I couldn't then eat it? I'm not, but yeah, I was fine.
That's insane. That's my last slide anyway. I think it's fun. We did the Joe Wicks and like, oh, it's not fair. And I thought it would be fun to explain, why is this stuff important? Why is food a little more complicated than being a picky eater?
Yeah, well, the thing is, I've wanted to cover Arfid for absolutely ages, so I'm really, really pleased that we've finally touched that subject because um it is a subject that one of my friends suffered with, both herself and her son. So it's kind of close to my heart watching her journey as it developed, like from us not understanding what it was to now she really like advocates for that community.
If
And
you've seen your kid not eat.
yeah, to the point where they're hospitalized and things, and it's not that they're being picky, but the experts are saying, "Oh wow, just hide this food in their food." No,
Just don't give them anything then.
yeah, they'll eat when they're hungry. No, he won't. He just will not eat. Like, yeah, well, he did. He was wasting away in front of her. It was really heartbreaking. But I've also got another contact who's worked with eating disorders, including ARFID, like bulimia, dyslexia, the lot. And she was setting up an ARFID in particular coaching type thing. So if anyone is watching this and has nowhere to turn, I can put you in touch with her. I'm not sure where she is with that coaching service, but it was such a niche thing, it's not something that people know where to turn to for help. So if you are stuck, as always, reach out to us and we'll do what we can to signpost you.
Yeah, comment in the chat below, or you can DM us privately if you don't want people to see your message. You can either do that
Yeah.
via the Instagram, there's different human design, or a different podcast. And then there's also the email address, a different podcast official at gmail.com.
There you go, you're there. And this, my brother before.
Arfid King.
Yeah, well, I mean, when I look back now and I think he was the typical beige eater.
Loves a white food, loves a beige food.
And to be fair, even now he's older and he's starting to branch out more, he's proud of it. He's like, oh, you'll never guess what I'm eating now, because it was such an issue. It was made into such an issue.
I feel exactly the same. The second I start eating something that's considered like
a bit exotic,
like you couldn't get it at Wacky Warehouse. Yeah, I feel like I'm an adult now.
Yeah. So shout out to James J.
Shout out Jay,
who's one of our this week's Patreon Patreon guy.
Patreon guy.
Patreon guy. And if you want to support us on Patreon, the link is in the chat. I think is the link in the description as well. This is our Patreon page. You can sign up for just £1 per month, which my mum told me earlier is actually £1.20 with VAT on. So just so you're not surprised by that extra little
Oh yeah, I get it on a socialist. I need to make this very clear. 5 pence charge. Don't worry, 25p.
20p. 20p. No, it's 120. Yeah. So yeah, if we raise it to 105, it'll be 125.
Cheaper than a Cadbury's bar of chocolate. There you go. But yeah, you can come to Human Design Patreon.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to find my mouse. Here I am. These are all the different subscription levels that you can get, but literally from the £1 gets you involved in the shout outs and giveaways every weekend month. If you want to get yourself a different resolution book so that you can join us along, it doesn't have to be started from January. This is your life. It can start whenever you feel like it.
That's not yet been added. Look, I've added that one, and this one's next.
It's advanced.
Yeah, and the ADHD one should be out as soon as it clears through the processing. That'll be out, so I'm well excited about that because then we'll have all three. This basic 5 senses one though, in terms of if you are exploring your eating habits, is really, really good because as you go through, there's a double page for each of the senses. And it mentions Arfid in there, and then it allows you to create this profile of all of your senses. And if you've got, say if it's you and your kids or whatever, and you all do the booklet, you can then compare and contrast. Because, like for example, my hearing's so super sensitive as a problem, whereas a lot of my friends, it's their sense of smell. So it's like they're really switched off by smells, whereas I'm really switched off by sounds.
I think mine is more smells.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's just really cool because people go around being triggered and having no idea why they're being triggered, and it can actually be something as simple as a bad smell or an irritating sound.
All heard hungry. It's not just hungry that we don't recognise sometimes. It's all of it.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
It's that book, and then there's also the ADHD, the anxiety one.
Yeah. Been adding those slowly but surely, and then I'll be adding a different resolution guide as well.
It's physical copies that you can hold with your two hands or one hand.
With your mitt.
It's a very cute book, but they're really useful. I love them. To be worked through, like you said, with kids or on your own as an adult, adolescent. They're great.
They are super helpful. And if you get onto the Patreon, you never know, you might win one when we're doing the draw. I know, who knows, eh?
But yeah.
So hit the like button. If you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe to us, please. If anyone's following my Instagram, they'll see that I got really excited midweek and shared that we'd gained a subscriber. And then when I checked, it had gone back down by one again. So I felt like someone was messing with me. Somebody unsubscribed after I shouted out that we'd got a new subscriber. So
come back and bring 10 friends.
yeah. If you can convince your friends to subscribe, that'd be great.
Well, yeah.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you found it useful.
So if you like the new setup, you can hear us better now.
Hopefully. This is when we find out no one's heard a thing.
So guys, have a lovely night. Thank you so much for talking in the chat. This is Lindsay.
This is Steph.
We are a different human design.
And this is a different podcast. Good night. Good night.